The next person up is Wendy Bergstein. Wendy has just disappeared. She's trying to close the door. We're going to hear from Wendy about some inspirational work that's happening through Coronation. So, Wendy, over to you.
Thank you so much for having me, Louise. I think just to kick off, it's people like you actually need to be commended today, because I think you've got this thing about bringing people together for a common purpose, and I think we all know why we're here today. I'm going to talk about a very simple idea that we'd like to believe causes deep change. Just to give me a sense of who's in the room, is everyone business, or do we have MPOs? Who's from business, corporates? Great, okay. So we've got a project called Capsule, and it's a simple project because we really interrogated all of our existing programs, some of which have been around for almost 25 years. And we interrogated it in the company of very smart people. We have an active board, so Professor Alex Watson sitting up there in the back. I'm sure anyone who went to UCT knows who she is. So we don't know everything. We approached the Capsule project with total humility. We appointed a foundation to actually take care of the Capsule project, which is chaired by Sarah Howie. If you know anything about the Pearl study that's done every 5 years at the University of Pretoria, she created and she ran that for many years. And we also consult with Professor Jonathan Jansen, who annihilates our project from time to time, and tells us the truth, because that's exactly what we need to hear. And thankfully, we approach it with agility and we make changes as we go along. So, just talking to you today, I'll stick to my time. I've renamed CSI just for the purpose of today, and I've renamed it Collaboration, Simplicity, and Impact. And I'll tell you why I've done that. So I can spit out facts about how poor our schooling system is, and I can talk about, the fact that 78% of our kids can't read to understand. We've got 1 million young people, 1,062,000 in the Western Cape alone, 15 to 24, who have very little chance of a bright future. So collaborating with the right people in the room and getting to the bottom of the problem unearthed the territory that we decided to play in with Capsule. And we've got the luxury of having people like you in the room who form the Western Cape Coalition for Quality Education. We actively sit on those, forums, and we engage at all levels. My CEO is also in the room this afternoon, thankfully. So there are no lines. No one's too good, or no one's too big or too small to help us to find solutions. We here as a collective, regardless of where we are in the organization. There's such power in diversity. We've lately just pulled out an article written by one of our seniors around the power of cognitive diversity. So the power that lies in, intellect that spans across culture, creed, religion, or physical location. So we tap into the minds of the people that we have around us. And, I think making the time is very hard, because we could become checkbook philanthropists, and we just will never be that. So on programs like Partners for Possibility, we've got principles that we partner with as well. That demands a lot of time. But because we are committed to changing the trajectory of our children's lives, we put in the hours. I've got a few colleagues that are actually on the program that are smiling at me. And I'm actually really proud to be part of it. So thanks again to you, Louise. I've been putting this presentation together. I just thought I could spit out all sorts of numbers that come out of my annual report, but I really wanted to inspire you a little bit more as business in terms of how easy it actually is to get involved and how the answers may be staring you in the face. So looking at our current program, so we've been around for 25 years and we've been doing amazing things for many of those years with amazing partners, some of which are in the room today. Bruce Proben, I don't know if he's still here. He is one of my favorite people. Bruce does a lot of work for our Capsule program and actually volunteers a lot of his time outside of normal requirements. So we did an inventory with all of our partners. So some of them talk to teacher development, principal development. We've got Growing Entrepreneurs, which teaches people it teaches agri skills for sustainable farming. So we've got an array of projects that we run in the business. And it just dawned on us that forming a collaboration with all of these independents could be the most powerful thing to do. And we did it. And it was a very hard job, I must just tell you. We actually met today. Collaboration isn't easy. I think about my favorite story about collaboration is the International Space Station. Countries like Japan, Russia, the United States, all collaborating in the middle of infinity for a common purpose, And it just reminds me that it's possible for us. So it's possible for us as business and anyone interested in developing education into something amazing in South Africa. It's actually not that hard. They've got a project that's worth $100 billion US, that's floating around and orbiting the earth at the moment. Surely we can get it right. So the simplicity in what we did was looking at what was around us, doing an inventory of all of our projects, looking at what could work together and what really couldn't. And not everything did. So we selected, or at least we handpicked, we obviously based it on analytics and research that we carry out. We consolidated programs into forming ecosystems, and I'll actually give you a visual demonstration of what that looks like, where partners could learn from each other, but more importantly, to ensure that children are touched by more than one of our programs in their lifespan. It wasn't only about that one engagement. The focus still being on the infrastructure that is left behind. So while we love our children and we've got interventions that talk to our children, we focus on principal and teacher development. They remain while children pass through the system. So impact, I think this is important, and I think that's where people like our professors that sit on our boards and foundations come into play, is that they assist with interrogating data, making sure that we have the right metrics in place, and that we're keeping ourselves honest. So we could all run programs that I could put a lot of numbers up or, even more happy faces, but at the bottom line is that it's got to be making the right impact. So when we first initiated the program, we looked at all of the problems. And my word, were there many. But all we thought about were our children. And I think the biggest thing, and lots of our external partners have helped us to come to that single-minded objective, and Wadra, you mentioned exactly that, is a single-minded objective that we can measure clearly. So it's not about improving, it's about a tangible outcome. And what that is for us is that any child that passes through our grade 1 to 3 system by grade 4 will read to understand. And that is how we will keep ourselves honest. And that's a big, hairy, audacious goal. But that's what we need. Because, we would just be doing it for fun otherwise. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what Capsule looks like. And this little boy is part of our program, and he's at Alru. He's 5 years old. We looked at the ecosystem around the child. Now, this looks slightly overwhelming, but I promise you it's not. We looked at all of the influences in a child's life, and we looked at the basis of our business, which is to create and protect the wealth of South Africans. And we found we needed to find a common ground. So we introduced early childhood development programs, which was not initially part of the Capsule program, I may just add. We learned this as we went along. So through regular ongoing assessments, we picked up that kids were missing a huge foundation. Grasping pencils, sitting on a chair was something difficult. Bouncing balls for, more than 15 or even 10 times was something that we were picking up was an issue. So we felt that we couldn't just skip a layer and go into schooling level without solving the basics. And that is where we introduced the basis of the program. Moving on, we had existing. I mean, we've always invested in early childhood, but the focus was never there. It was always on primary school development, and I should have actually said that up front. Is that we focus on primary school predominantly. We've got tertiary programs and bursary programs and graduate programs, but the core of our budget is focused on primary school level. So we had numeracy. I mean, our Counting with Coronation program has been in existence for many years. Literacy programs, I'm sure you know, PSP, which we call, we've got Coronation Reading Adventure Rooms, and we've got a school gardens program. So we were looking at holistically teaching kids skills to enable them to thrive. And then going on to, I mean, so this needs to paint a picture that you more than likely in business have got all of these endeavors. I'm sure that you're doing something already. It's about focusing your efforts into specific places, which is what we've done with our Capsule program. So we run parent workshops because we know that we need to build the next generation of people who are responsible financially, people who learn how to save, how to budget, what tax is all about. So we engage with our parents around learning social skills, reading skills, how to, develop the basis for counting and mathematics in the home. And, we've had lots of learnings around schools where parents don't engage as much as we'd like them to. And there are other schools where our entrepreneurial program doesn't work as well. And we move, we're agile. So we track as we go along. So that's the impact that I'm talking about. And we are also very decisive when it doesn't work. So I hope that paints a clear picture of what we do. Because it is quite something. It takes commitment and it takes active involvement, and that's just what we're willing to do as a brand. So in closing, just remember that the new version of CSI, collaboration, simplicity, and impact. Just measure and be agile as you go along. Thank you very much.